Hello, my friend. I want to explain to you the idea of paradox because a lot of people seem to not understand this very well. And I either think that paradox is just the idea of polarities or opposing sides of a question, or that it is the same as irony. It's very different. A paradox is the realization that something that is the other side of the coin of the thing you're looking at is an important part of the first thing. So life and death are paradoxical realities. You can't die unless you have first come to life. And you can't live without ending up dying. And the paradox is that because those two are connected so intrinsically, the more you are acquainted with death and the more you are aware of the end of life, and the easier it becomes to live life to the full. So it's like that with up and down too. You can't have up without down. You can't have down without up. The two are in a relationship, a paradoxical relationship with each other, which is that they need each other and yet seem to be each other's opposites. But you can't go high unless you have been low. And you can't go low if you haven't been high. And the fact is that there's always going to be movements between those two, and that therefore there is a paradoxical reality that both are two sides of the same inseparable coin. So much of life is paradoxical in that way, and you can sometimes say that is ironic when you are reminded of the opposite of something. Just as you thought you have achieved the one thing, you are reminded of its polar opposite. That can sometimes be ironic, but not all paradoxical reality is ironic. It is just a vital principle of how life works, really. So in a sense, breathing is paradoxical because you can't breathe out unless you've breathed in, and you can't breathe in unless you've breathed out. So these things are so intricately related that they're really just two aspects of the same process or the same mechanism. It's like the chicken and the egg as well. It's paradoxically true that if you're going to have an egg, it'll be about a chicken being born. But if there's a chicken, then there's probably been an egg that it's been born out of. So it's never either or. It's always both and. And that is the key to understanding paradox. That you can't have just one side of the equation. You're always going to have to balance it out with the other side of the equation too. Life is very much about that. And the sooner you understand that it is never about trying to have the good side of the equation without the bad side, but always about how good you get at both sides of the equation, and how malleable and flexible and nimble you get in working with both sides of that tension, and how good you get at holding the extremes of that tension to create a greater space for enjoyment of that paradoxical tension in your life. So working with the opposite is never about creating a compromise either. It is about creating an awareness of the dialectical relationship between the opposites and the inevitability of the one flowing into the other and the other flowing back into the one. It is really the first step towards wisdom, my friend, when you understand the paradoxical reality of existence. And it is a beautiful thing to be working with, and a wonderful thing to understand that you're capable of allowing both your sadness and your happiness, that you're able both to be kind and firm, that you're able to be both loving of another and loving of yourself. Take care, my friend, and play with the paradox as much as you need to in order to understand it for yourself.